Okay, introduce yourselves, por favor.
My name is Caroline. I'm a junior studying biology this year, and I would like to go into medicine.
Well, you're a junior. Yeah, okay.
I'm Leonardo. I'm a senior studying mathematics.
Dude, and where are you from?
Dominican Republic.
Dude, what do seniors, what's the math class that you currently have right now? What's like a senior level math class?
Okay, so like graph theory.
Graph theory.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Comp sci as well. So
Yeah.
like high level computer science.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, sure, I do that in my spare time. All right, man. Yes. So wait, Caroline, Leonardo. Yes.
My name's Kaylin. I'm a sophomore and I'm studying psychology.
Kaylin. And it's spelled lean, L-E-E-N. So you know that even though I'm sitting here, right here going, okay, remember Kaylin, I know I'm going to call you Kayleen.
That's why I go by K.
You go by K?
Yeah.
Okay, K it is. Oh, thank you. All right. Yeah, where are you from?
I'm from Miami, Florida.
What's your ancestry?
My mom's Cuban and my dad's from Mozambique.
From Mozambique? Uh-huh. Do you pronounce it Mozambique or Mozambique?
Mozambique, but like if you're saying it in Spanish, it's like Mozambique.
Mozambique. Uh-huh. So, all right. So here's what I want to. What we're going to talk about today, and we're going to go back to the last class, and what I want to do is I want to offer up. We're gonna take this to the next step, okay? And so can you put the next slide up? Okay, so remember this slide, right? And so what I was trying to do was to say, hey, let's see how we can explain these differences. And you do all understand the importance of explaining these differences, right? Because if you don't, in the end, if people don't have an understanding of the sociological phenomenon that are taking place, eventually they're going to get to some kind of a DNA level. They might get to a cultural level, but they'll also get to a DNA level. Well, certain groups of people just aren't smart enough. Certain groups of people are just inherently lazy. Certain groups of people are inherently violent. Certain groups of people are whatever, right? Smarter than, harder work, just something that gets to that level of that it's part of some sort of biological constitution. And it's not chance, by the way, that the groups that are on top generally they conclude that the people who look like them are the smartest and the best and the most, like the hardest working and so on. It's not like I don't conclude that people who look like me are like, well, that's the nature of white people is. The reason we're on top is because we're the most violent, we're the most vicious, we've destroyed the lives of more people, we've pillaged, we've stolen everything, we've done all that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go somewhere where I see myself in more of a positive light. And so that's kind of, and the problem with those other people is going to be a negative thing. I'm going to pick out things that aren't like me because I'm trying to find what the differences are. Okay? So go to the next slide. So we have free will, personal choices, lifestyle, decisions, interests. So that's all the stuff down here. Right? And then we have factors outside of our control, including our DNA. Some people are biologically, constitutionally better adapted for life in the world in a certain way. Okay? Discrimination, historical factors, like one thing after another. Okay, so now, you ready? Can you go? We're gonna go to the next slide. All right. How would you say something about this slide? And really be as thoughtful as you can about why there's serious differences. First off, what are the implications of this slide? Of having children outside of wedlock. In a culture like ours. What's that?
Wedlock.
Wedlock.
What does that mean?
Wedlock, being married. Yeah. Having children outside of a marriage. Okay? Yeah, I use these words. Yeah. So listen. So, you ready? So the question is, tell us what the implications are for our conversation, for inequality. Anybody can go with it.
All right. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah, talk really loud. We got you.
All right. So where I'm from, Dominican Republic, there's like this cycle that comes into play because of teenage pregnancy or outside of wedlock births. And so the thing is, for example, a 14-year-old girl would get pregnant and they would have to quit school, work to maintain their newborn, therefore not being able to access any other opportunity other than like a janitor job or maybe even like be the head of the janitors, but that's about it. But because of the fact they had to quit school.
Okay, and why do people get pregnant outside of marriage? What's your understanding
well,
of that?
in the situation that I know, it's because of like lack of education. First of all, like they don't even know what a condom is in most cases, and sometimes even like religious, topics. Like they won't use a condom because they believe it's like not pure or whatever.
It's like it's sinful to block sperm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So how much of it is a choice? Where does choice enter into this? Like, personal responsibility, choice, etc.
I mean, I feel like, well, in 2014, I would say like
It hasn't
Yeah.
changed at all in the past 8 years.
Yeah, I would just say. At the end of the day, I would like to think that like if a girl or like a woman got pregnant out of wedlock and that like she didn't want to do it, she would be able to go to like Planned Parenthood or a medical provider and get rid of it. But then we also have to like consider other factors like how religious their family is, their personal beliefs, if they even have access to those things. So
Okay, let me ask you this though. How much? Okay, that's good. Yeah, good. How much? By the way, I liked your answer too. By the way, how much? But how much is it a choice to have sex? Like, where's the choice? Like all along here, right?
I mean, if it's consensual sex, it's like 100% a choice. Like,
You're
choosing to do that. And if I feel like it then divides into two. So, like, if you're having protected sex, it's kind of like you're making a choice to, like, not try to conceive a child out of this sex. But if you're doing it unprotected, like, there's a chance of doing it. And you're like, okay, well, I'll make that choice. That can happen to me. It is
Okay.
what it is.
All right. Okay. Caroline, do you have any thoughts on choice here? Like responsibility, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a choice, but you have to look at like the factors that lead up to the choice. So if you don't have structures that are doing education or like family structures that are educating, when you should or not have a kid, I think you're kind of set up to fail to a certain point.
Okay. All right. Like all of us, right? Like a lot of people in here, you're in majors that you wouldn't really choose, but your parents basically have chosen for you. Just like last past Pirani, right? Pirani, you said, like, of course, like you're gonna be like doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever, right? Like they're just choices. Your parents your community made those choices for you. Now, because it's a choice that you think is going to lead somewhere positive, we're going to tend to embrace it as a choice, even though like it's not going to be your choice, right? What's your major, by the way?
Psychology.
Psychology. Okay, let's say that's your parents just like instilled that you're going to be psychology, and you embrace the idea. Okay, but it's my choice, and like Okay, but it's not your choice. But that's okay. So we don't think that it matters. But in this particular case, this is a shout out to people who tend to take a much more conservative approach to these things, which tend to emphasize what happens down here, which is people make choices. We know if you have a child out of wedlock, out of marriage, your chances of being, if you're poor and you have a child out of marriage, your chances of staying poor are basically over 90%. The obstacles you're going to have to overcome are just like, it's highly unlikely to happen. And if you're not poor, your chances of getting poorer have increased exponentially as well. So people who take a more conservative perspective are like, look, you have to give people have to take responsibility. Like, come on, don't like make excuses for people. If it was consensual sex and you had sex, then God damn, take responsibility for it. And so many conservative people are just tired of liberals coming along and saying, well, but people are oppressed and people don't know any better and people they're poor and maybe they can't afford condoms or maybe whatever. And people are like, okay, but stop. At what point are we going to stop making excuses for people who make stupid decisions and bad decisions? Like, well, I know he robbed the 7-Eleven store with a gun, but, you need to really understand his background. It's like, I don't fucking care about his background. There's no background. At some point, he makes a decision to get a gun, even if all of his friends have guns, to get the gun and go into 7-Eleven and put it in someone's face and say, give me the money. At what point is there not a decision? At what point did somebody come along with Leonardo and say, like, here, hold his arm and hold the gun right there and be like, come on. Did someone do that? No. Therefore, you're making a choice. And so conservatives are often they're just tired of the liberal left making excuses for people who actually make choices. But now you all said something that's like, well, but hang on a second. What if you got to your senior year in high school and you never heard of the SAT exam or the ACT exam? What if you never heard? There's so many things that you just never even heard about. So you didn't even know to take it. And if you didn't even know to take it, you wouldn't be sitting here. Because you wouldn't know. You just have no idea whatsoever. There are things you wouldn't know. So there are ways in which our lives are shaped, our choices are made according to certain contexts. And so this is where, you ready? This is where it's a little bit of this over here. It's a little bit of this over here. And we're not going to leave either out. We're going to keep choice in, because there is choice in this. Not always. Many young women in particular are coerced into having sex and are coerced into having unprotected sex, or coerced by their church, by their religious leaders to have unprotected sex. Because, you might kill a sperm. That's a sin. Like, that's about as draconian 6th century thinking as I could ever imagine. But whatever, people still think of it today. Okay, so that's good. So I like that. Are you all in agreement with what I just said there about conservatives? Does anyone want to just add something to that? Because we all have a conservative side to us, don't we? We all have you have a conservative side. Does that make sense? Bro, do you want to say anything? Because you really...
I mean, I agree in the fact that there's like a line in between choice and like precedent, and like we have to learn like where to draw it. And like, sure, she could have made a different choice, but did she know any better? Was she forced upon it? Like,
yeah, we don't know that.
yeah,
and we don't know that.
That's what I mean. So
yeah,
like there's a gray area in which we can say like she had a choice, or was it like president, like
Yeah,
in
but
this situation, but
yep, but still had a choice. But the choice, there's always
Yeah,
a
yeah.
piece of it is a choice. Hey, I want to just make an announcement to the class. No, that's good, that's good. Hey, so listen, there's a second attendance sheet going around, okay? And it's only going to get to a third of the class today. Like, you all aren't going to see this, and you all aren't going to see that. You all are, because it's right here, and it's coming now. It's following the other attendance sheet. And then when it gets to the top, they're going to take it down to the front somewhere. So you're going to get, when you sign this attendance sheet, make sure you sign it exactly as you're going to sign your name every single day. Okay? Cool? And do not, by the way, man, don't be like, we're catching people signing other people's names. Like, why would you do that? Dude, would you do that? Why do that? You're going to die. You know what I mean? Like, God. Okay, Leonardo, don't change slides. Leonardo, you're the math guy. Tell us, what is the miracle of compound interest? I can't believe you're a math major, man.
I mean,
Explain it.
what do you mean with that question?
Tell us what compound interest is, man, how it works.
Just like,
No, hang on. You're explaining it to a room full of
Okay.
people who don't know anything about it, which is not true. Some of you do. but go
okay,
ahead.
compound interest is, for example, I'll dumb it down. If I have $100 and they'll give me 10% every year, and it is compounded, then I will have $110 after the first year, and then after the second year, I will have interest of 10% on that 110, so I will have
Come on, dude. Go for it.
$21.
Exactly. All right.
So-
Did you think he was going to mess that up? I had a moment. All right. And then what happens over time?
So yeah, it like compounds on itself. So that $21 will
Just
compound.
grow.
121.
And if you
eventually.
you start with $100 and you do that per month, and you just do every month $100, then it's going to grow
Yeah.
really fast. Okay?
Yeah, like it's exponential. So like you can take it as far as you want.
Do either of you want to add anything to that? Compound interest, you got it? Do you know how important it is? Right? Okay. Do you have any stocks? Do you have any savings yet?
I don't think so.
Do you have any? Have you started investing yet?
My high school friend made me buy Dogecoin, but it was horrible. So
Okay, that's a bad
yeah,
idea.
but
All right. Have you started investing yet? All right. So listen. So check this out, y'all. Go to the next slide. After I finish with what I'm about to finish with, you're gonna understand something here. So look. You know how you spend $5 every day buying like a coffee or just something like that, a soda, a coffee, I don't know. You just waste $5 and you don't think anything of it. Or you buy a beer, I don't know, whatever you buy. If you took that and you invested that and you got annual return of 10%, and that annual return was compounding. So let's just say, you put this in a standard mutual fund, right? That just really tracks the market, okay? And you're able to get 10%. And you do that times 3 every single day. At the end of the year, you have $1,825, okay? And you do that for 45 years. So 1,825 times 45 is $82,125. That's the blue right here. And so that's a pretty good idea. Then you should do that. You should start today. Take $5 and go open up a fund with, one of the mutual fund houses or whatever, and just start putting money in every single day. You can do it on a monthly basis, but the point is you take $35 a week. At the end of 45 years, see that? That's how much it's worth because of compound interest. So when you get to my age, if you start doing it right now, and you get to my age, that's how much money you're going to have. If you can track 10%, if you can track the market at 10%, the market, they're probably going to be lucky. It depends on what happens because, climate change is probably going to take us all down. But nonetheless, if it doesn't, and you're able to get 10%, let's say you're even to get 8%. Well, if you get 8%, maybe you end up right here. But that's a lot of money. And that, you know what that is? That's interest and time. Okay? So now, Tell me why that matters. Can we go back to the slide of one more, right here. Can you take a look at this? So this is net worth, and we're looking at median net worth, and we're looking at black people, Hispanic people. This is mostly Asians, and look at white people. So can one of you, can you say a few things about this regarding what I just talked about, compound interest?
Yeah, so I just think that's like a main way people are able to accrue wealth over their lifetime is by investing. And I guess if you look at the graph, you would say that whites and Asians are more likely to invest versus blacks. But then you can also look at it like systemically by the US government and how they redlined a lot of areas. So redlining was a practice that the government did where they did not give loans or mortgages to minority areas like the inner city of Philadelphia. They said that area was red and hazardous and not worth investing in. So they turned away all those people for loans and gave loans to white people over blacks. And then that's how I think we see the disparities of wealth is due to that practice from 80, 90 years ago, because you're set up so much lower compared to a white counterpart.
So the idea is that, hey, you have these communities, and if we're going to funnel certain communities into, like Hispanics, black people, poor ethnicities of white people in different times. Like at this point in time, white people are white people, right? But that has not been the case in the United States over the years. Certain ethnic groups were very much discriminated against over other ethnic groups. So the idea is, there are all these ways in which certain groups of people over time have been able to accumulate wealth. And as they accumulate wealth, over time, if we think about that last graph, it's like, is it surprising to you that the median net worth of white people would be so much higher than, say, black and Hispanic people?
I mean, I really don't think it isn't, because if you look at like how redlining affected people to this day, one way you like really accumulate wealth is through mortgages. And that practice gave mortgages to white people over blacks, and some they were forced to live in rent-owned apartments or complexes, which you can't accumulate any wealth off of because you're not in a mortgage or in a rent situation. And then if your families have been in that cycle for so long, it's so hard to get out. Versus if you're set up with somebody who has been in a family with a mortgage, you are more likely to get one later on.
For most Americans, the primary generator of net worth, the primary investment vehicle for people's net worth is not stocks and bonds, it's their house. And so if you're not able to invest in a house, in a neighborhood that is going to accumulate value, not one that's going to go down in value or remain kind of, the value will remain, horizontal instead of horizontal, then it's the problem. Do any of you want to go back to say anything about this and compound interest? Do you have anything to add?
With the compound interest, that was something I learned in my personal finance class in high school. And I know that's not something that a lot of people have access to. So that's something that is also, I feel affects this, because I know most of my personal finance from that class, and also things that my parents did that they tell me to do. And for some of these people, they don't know it. So it's if you don't know something, you can't pass it on to the future generations and things like that.
And you come from money at some level, right? I mean, you're here,
Yeah.
right? So you're going to get that. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, for example, I was a saver my whole life. So I started working full time when I was 14. And I remember my first paycheck was $79, and I took $5 of it and I put it in my pocket, and I took $74 and I put it in the bank. And then my next paycheck, same thing. Next paycheck, same thing. And I had my first $1,000, and I bought a certificate of deposit, which meant that I generated 9% interest as opposed to 5% back then. Okay, right next door to the bank was a trading house where I could have bought stock. I could have invested that $1,000 in a mutual fund, but my family didn't know that. I could have bought stock. My family knew nothing about that. My mom was just Well, you put it in the bank. Well, can you go forward to that graph again? See, no, go ahead back. Yeah. See the blue right here? If I put it in the bank my whole life, getting the kind of interest that we got, that's what I'd end up with. But no one taught me that. So like, okay, but I'm still responsible because I could have learned. I could have walked into that place and said, yeah, what are you guys doing here? Like, what is this? What's it all about? Okay, can you, Leonardo, do you have anything to add to that, or you don't have to? Okay, go to the next slide. So here's what I want y'all to, I want to talk about black people in the U.S. today. What happened in 1865? First off, hang on. I want to go to you have the years of slavery. How much wealth did black people accumulate? Anybody want to throw it out there? And by the way, the Dominican Republic was, a slave country, so Hispaniola. That's the first place where Columbus landed, by the way, if you didn't know that. How much wealth did black Americans accumulate? Did anybody talk about it?
None.
Okay, none. I mean, some people did. Some people were able to buy their freedom, and some people were not enslaved. There were black people in the U.S. who were not slaves. There were black people in the U.S. who owned slaves, but, very small amount, relatively speaking. So, but there were black Americans who owned land and so on, and in different situations who vote. I mean, there are all sorts of things that happen, very small slices of communities. Okay, so they didn't accumulate wealth, okay? Meanwhile, the land that is the United States, who's it all going to? I mean, just let's tell the story. Like, who's that land going to? Anybody? Like, who's it being given to, sold to, given to? First off, who's being kicked off the land? So let's tell the story. Go ahead.
Native Americans were kicked off by European settlers that came in, and then they colonized different states.
Mm-hmm. And they did what? Generated income, generated wealth, right?
Yeah, they would do different fields or farms, different crops that were money crops, so tobacco, indigo, I think.
Mm-hmm. Things like that. And then you have your slave labor. Most white people were poor, though, right? Do any of you know anything about this? Most white people were poor. They didn't own slaves. Should I just talk? Should I say that? I'll just say something. Listen. It costs a lot of money to own a slave. It's a lot less expensive today to own a slave than it was under slavery. In the United States. The United States was a self-generating slave system, meaning that self-reproducing, meaning that, women had children and the children became slaves. That wasn't true in Dominican Republic. It wasn't true in Haiti. It wasn't true in Jamaica. It wasn't true in Brazil. It wasn't true in many other slave nations. But here in the United States it was. And most white people were poor, and they didn't own slaves. They didn't really have much to do with slavery at all. They didn't make money off of slavery directly. It was a system that profited certain groups of people and benefited certain groups of people, but they were all white. Right? Okay? So it's really important. Just like today, when you start talking about white supremacy or, white privilege, not all white people are privileged. And that has always been the case. So if we go back to 1865, I just want to say something really fast. Today, I can go to places in the world and I can buy a human being, and that human being can be a slave for me for as little as $10 or $15 U.S. in today's dollars. But today's dollars, what's that? Not in the United States. And then if I go to 1865, the average slave in the United States in today's dollars is going to be. Oh, you probably could I could somewhere in the United States for sure. But I mean, there's trafficking here in the United States, so I could do that. But it's going to be highly in the black market. In the open market, I can go other places and do that pretty openly. So, but in 1865, the price of a slave is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, several $100,000. And you're not just going to go out and willy-nilly buy slaves. I can't do that. How many people have that kind of money? You don't have that. And then you got to be able to utilize that person. So anyway, okay, so what happened in 1865? Anyway, one of you two. What happened in 1865? Like, I mean, that's the end of slavery, right? So what happened?
Yeah, they were freed from slavery, but they didn't mean they were completely free.
Okay, well, talk about that.
And then you enter the period of segregation where, like, by law they were free, but they were still heavily secluded against.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead. Say more. Just like go. I'm just really curious. Keep going. Like, what do you guys know about that?
I mean, I just think more of like the racist practices in the South of discrimination based on color and like the water fountains and the buses and everything like that.
Uh-huh.
And how that, I think some people still think like that today.
Okay. Leonardo, do you have anything to add? Like, what happened in 1865 to black people? Not just in the U.S., by the way, in the DR, as an example, but go ahead.
I like the term you used in one of the classes, which was colorism.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, I think, and yeah, segregation, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's still a thing. With us, it wasn't as much like race from 1865. It was more with like the Haitians. So I think it's
okay.
It's not similar.
Okay. Kay, can you add anything here?
So in 1865, that was like when slavery ended, but like it's important to note that there were like several plantations that still had slaves, because as like was said previously, like slaves were expensive, so they saw them as like an investment. So obviously these like slave masters weren't gonna just tell their slaves, oh, you're free to go, like go wherever you want. So they like kept them until like the 1900s. And then even after the slaves that were able to go away, they like couldn't get jobs because they were in the segregation period. So they had to do like indentured servitude, which is still like another form of slavery. They were paid very little. Also, white people that were poor also did indentured servitude at that time. So, and then you just go into like the Jim Crow laws and yeah.
Okay. All right. So here, awesome. Okay. So let me take these three things. Right? Are you guys following what's going on in Russia right now? Are you paying attention?
They declare a draft.
They did declare a draft, and what are Russian men doing?
Are they trying to get out of it? I haven't seen much, but I just knew they declared a draft.
There are a lot of men that are rushing to get out of Russia, right? And they're like really, I watched this video of these men on their bicycles just riding through the border with Georgia and just riding on their bicycle. And this interviewer, put the microphone and say, where are you going? And they're speaking in Russian. And they're like, I'm just getting out of here. And the interviewer says, do you know you're never going to go back there? As long as Putin is in power, you will never go back. And they're like, yeah, but I'm leaving. And they're like, where are you going? And the guy's like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going somewhere. What do you have? Nothing. The guy had nothing on him. He had his phone. He had no money. He had nothing. Where's he going to go? What's he going to do? Where's he going to get a job? How's he going to, what's going to happen? Right? So here's a question with slavery, right? You're free. The three of you are you're slaves. Suddenly, 1865. Okay, here you go. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? First off, these are all the white people who think that you should be enslaved. Okay, you're inferior to them. They're afraid of you. They really don't think that there's any way that you should be living among them, and so. How open are they to the three of you? Just living amongst them. How open are they? Go ahead, anybody. How open do you think they are? Look at these faces here.
I don't think they would be open at all. It'd be very hard to like set up your family, get a job, try to even accumulate wealth. It'd be extremely hard.
Because you're still a slave.
Yeah, in their minds, just because like the law changed doesn't mean their mindset changed.
Yeah, they haven't changed at all. Nothing has changed. All that has changed is there's this law that came down from Washington. We fought this bitter civil war. First off, we hate you anyway because you're the cause, in the South anyway, you're the cause of the war that we just had that just destroyed our entire way of life. The North doesn't like you either because of you, we fought this war with the South. We divided the nation. We fought the war with the South. They've never met a slave. They have no idea who you are. All they know, this is way before, cell phones and so on. Like, they have no idea. They just know we went to war with these people. But they're also afraid of you. They don't trust you. They hear things. This guy right here, what they hear is that this guy is going to come and rape your women. He's going to come kill you. And they know that all of you, you have one thing on your mind. What do you have on your mind? One thing. It's the V word. What do you have on your mind? What's the one thing you want more than anything from these people? Vengeance. You want vengeance. You're pissed. You spent all these years in slavery. You're pissed. So what are they going to do? How many opportunities are they going to give you? Like, what do you think? Anybody?
That's one of the reasons why indentured servants became a thing, because they're like, oh, go out and find a job. No one's going to give you a job. So all these slave masters that lost their slaves, they need people to work the field, and they have a bunch of people that used to be slaves that aren't getting jobs anywhere. They're like, oh, just come back and we'll pay you this very, very low rate. Okay, got you. Do you see a government here? Is there are there police officers who are going to uphold the law? Is there a government? Do you see anybody among all these people? Anybody? Do you see any police, any government officials? Anybody who's going to demand that these people give you guys jobs? Do you see anyone up here? You see nothing. Right? You all just want to get right back to where we were. Like, this is some big open society. You want to get your fields going again. You want to get the system going again. And you just want to start employing these people. The only difference now is you have to pay them. Like, you got to pay them. It's like, what the hell? They were free before. I mean, you had to take care of, you own them. So you didn't, in the United States, you didn't work them to death because you want them, if they get sick, that's a big investment. Each one of them is a big investment for you. So if they get sick, then you've got to make sure that, they get better, because if they die, you don't have insurance on them. You can say, well, slaves got beaten all the time. Not all slaves got beaten all the time, my friends, right? Because everyone learned pretty quickly how to live in the system together. So sometimes there was the one slave that got beaten for everybody else, but then everybody learned pretty quickly not to do that. And the reason you wouldn't beat your slave to death, why is it, bro? They're property. They're expensive, but not now. Right now, you three people, you're nothing. I don't owe you shit. I just got to get you, they got to get you back into the fields to start working again. And so in 1865, all these people up here, they just start to come up with these ways in which they can get you to work for as little as possible. Because they're not getting rich off of you. They got to pay you minimal. So where are you going to live? Do you own houses?
I mean, you have no infrastructure to help you out.
Do you have clothes? You have food? You have nothing.
Yeah.
So now where are you going to get that stuff? Where are you going to get it? Who are you going to get it from?
Like your slave owner.
You're going to get it from these people. So instead of providing it for you now they're going to rent you a house. Now they're going to rent you food. You're going to have to buy your food from them. Now you're going to pay for the doctor. Everything you're going to start paying for. So what in 1865, pre-1865, post-1865, which system do you want to live? Which system would you rather live in? If there's the three of you, which one do you think you'd rather live in? Which one do you think would be better for you?
I mean, they're both pretty bad, but I think post 1865, because you are by law free, so you have the potential to work your way up.
Yeah. Anyone else have a different opinion on that? Leonardo, Kay, do you have a different opinion on that?
I mean, I would rather post 1865 as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people that study slavery pretty intensively. And a lot of folks who make the argument pretty carefully that for many ex-slaves, slavery was better than what happened after slavery. Right? Like, and you think like, what? How is that possible? Right? And then, so we start coming along and we have this idea. So now imagine that you all are here and people are like, hey, but we freed the slaves, so why are you still complaining? What's the problem? Everything got better. Well, it can't get better, right? And so now we start moving up. So you start, you're talking about like redlining and stuff. So now these people still, they're the owners of everything. Slowly you all start like working really hard and saving money and battling, fighting off the whoever you needed to fight off. And slowly you're able to do some things like buy a little bit of land and buy a couple mules, and maybe you could buy 12 acres, maybe like all sorts of things, right? If you're really light skinned, maybe you pass and you move into white society. Maybe you go north and you're able to kind of find a spot, but then you go north, and what do northerners do? They like say, you're not going to live among these northerners right here. You're not going to live with them, right? Where are you going to live? What neighborhoods?
You're going to live in the inner cities that they've redlined.
Yeah, you're going to live in ghettos. And a ghetto is any neighbor. Ghetto, the word ghetto, sociologically speaking, means an area of land in which people only of one particular ethnicity, culture, or background live. That's what we call a ghetto. So like some of these white suburbs are white ghettos, like sociologically speaking, right? So you're only going to live there. And like, okay. And then it's going to get poorer. Why is it going to get poorer?
Because the government won't invest in areas they seem hazardous. So like grocery stores would go to the suburbans where like liquor stores and gas stations went into the redlined areas.
Okay.
Which it's still seen today.
And
like
who owns all these properties? So if you all are going to rent them, who owns them? Because you're not going to own them.
The government or
landlord, or these people own them, right? And then they go to shit. Why do they go to shit? Because
they don't upkeep them.
Because what?
Because, like you have no other option, so they know like they can give you the bare minimum and you're still going to take it because like it's the only option you have.
Yeah, but it's your problems because it's people like you that don't keep the houses up. It's not their problem. So why don't you keep the house up? You're renting it. You should come on, this is your home. Make it look nicer.
Renovating a house is very expensive and you don't.
Exactly. So when we look here, a lot of times we see areas that are run down and we think, well, that didn't used to be run down. Well, it didn't used to be run down because people were owner-occupiers. But suddenly when slumlords are owning these areas, right, whether it's outside of State College or wherever it is, then suddenly it's a very different story, right? You don't have the money. Okay, so now, what Caroline is talking about goes right up into the early 1960s. Okay? So, do you know like North Philly? You ever driven through North Philly? Do you know North Philly?
I'm from Erie, so other side of the state.
Okay, so Erie isn't that different. You don't know it, right? Anybody, so North Philly, which is now almost entirely black, right? But used to be entirely white, okay? And when white people lived there, North Philly was a really nice area. Like, oh my God, beautiful houses, like really nice. And then people that look like you start moving in, and all of a sudden the whole area goes to shit. It's violent, it's poor, it's not kept up. But what is left out of that equation, all we see is like people that look like you move in, and it goes to shit. What's left out of the equation is, why did it go to shit? What happened? Who owned? Who moved out? Who took care of things? Who let it go down? Like, what happened there? Because you didn't buy it. People look like you didn't buy it because you're not going to. Because Caroline, you said that you're not going to. It's going to be really difficult to get loans, okay? Because of racism.
Yeah, it was just based on skin color. Like there was a study that they gave more loans to low-income white people than upper or middle-class Black Americans when redlining was prominent in America.
Yeah. So this is years. Okay. So now what we have here is a story of, hey, Nidhi, can you go back to the can you go back to that one to that slide right there? One back, keep going. Keep going. Yeah, right there. So listen. So now we look here, and we look at these numbers here, and we say like, oh, okay. I look around the room. I look at the three of you, right? You're this Dominican guy. You're a white woman. You're a Latina African woman, right? American. You're pretty American, actually. Okay. So here you are, the three of you. You're all equal, basically, right? I mean, you're all equal here. I mean, let's face it, right? So you have an equal chance. We get to the end. The chances of one of you having more wealth or less wealth, it's a coin toss. And it's probably true for most people in this classroom, okay? There are some people in here who are really rich. And there are some people in here who are really pretty poor. But most of you all are somewhere in between, okay? And so now what we're doing is saying like, okay, so like if we start today, it's basically an even race, okay? Right? It's even. Like you get, dude. Can we just? What's your class background?
Mainly German, but that's very.
What's your economic class?
Like upper middle class.
Yours? Upper middle class. Okay. So here, can come over here. Bring the microphones for a second. Just come stand right here. Right on this step. No, actually. So you stand right here. Who's from the upper class? Like you're definitely upper class. Like I need someone in the upper class. Bro. Wait, is that you, bro? Hang on, I'll just use this guy because he's right here. Bro, come here. Plus you're white, so it's just more fun. But you got cool shorts. Okay, dude, so you're going to stand right here. What's your name? Austin. Oh, that's an upper class name too. All right. And who's poor? Who's poor? I need someone from the lower class. Dude. Okay. Caleb. Come with me, man. All right. This is Caleb. Caleb's poor. All right? You're right here, man. All right? Can I sit down or no, just stand here for a second. You're only going to be a hot minute. So listen. So let's say you're all here in class. And we presumably you all have an equal chance of doing well because you're all here. Caleb can study just as hard as Kay, who can study just as hard as Caroline, can study just as hard as Leonardo, and we can all study. And Caleb, you can study just as hard as Austin. You can be Austin, man.
Probably not. I'm not very good at studying.
Well, okay, but you could be maybe. Theoretically, you could be. Let's see. This is what we see today. You're all here. You're in this class. You're all trying to get to the top. Okay? So let's do this. Everyone turn around. Now what's going to happen is you're all going to start going. Ready? So this is the ladder of upward mobility, and you're all trying to get to the top because the top is success. Okay? And here you are. You're all from 3 different backgrounds, and this is good. And we got poor person down here. You got the rich person. Okay, so now we're gonna watch it happen. Okay, we're gonna watch it happen. This is how it's gonna play itself out. Okay, so everyone just start walking. Okay, stop. Right. So here. So check this out, man. Look at Caleb here. Stay right there. Don't even move. You're mid-step. Look at Caleb. Shit, man. Caleb, he started down here. He went to Penn State. He studied. And look at him now, man. Like, this is awesome. Like, he got here. And like, you know, he's going to keep working hard and maybe keep going a little bit. Maybe he's going to get like right here. And then Caleb's going to have a child, and the child's going to start here. The child's not starting here, okay? So Caleb did what he's supposed to do. He went to school, he worked hard, he did what he had to do, he got a job, he invested his money, and he got here, and he's going to have a child, and his child's starting here, and then his child might end up there, okay? But check this out. So come back to here for a second. So now, but look, so you got to there. But look where they started here, and Caleb didn't catch up with them. He's not going to catch up with them. He might, okay, it's possible, but he's probably not going to catch up with Kay and Caroline and Leonardo. Because they started here, man. You got it? Like, they're here. And then they're like, you're thinking like, you're all upper middle class, right? So, you know, right? So like, okay, we're good. You want to catch up with this guy. But this guy, look where he is. He started here, but like while they're working their tails off to get to improve, and they did. If they did nothing, if Caleb did nothing, if these three did nothing, if they just sat on their rear ends and did absolutely nothing, they didn't go to school, they didn't work hard, they did nothing, they'd still be back there. But they didn't. They got here. But here's Austin. Here he is. And if we start again, he's going to be up there. Everyone's going to move up, and he's going to be there. And so the idea is all we ever see is the starting place, right? We just look at, okay, so got it? Dude, thanks, man. Caleb, thanks. Yeah, you can sit down. All right, here, come back down. So listen, you can have a seat here again. So all we ever see, we think about is them we see us all at the same starting place. We don't see the sociology that's happening. And so if we go, can you go to the timetable? The right here. So look, we start at 2000. Most of you were born after 2000, right? 2003, 2, 3, 4. We start right there. And we say like, why are white people, right? What do we say all the time, right? Like, why are people complaining still, right? Like, isn't that like people must say that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they just say like, work hard and you'll get success, but your definition of hard work is so much different compared to other people, and like, you have to work so much harder to even get to their starting point versus somebody else who's already started there. Well, it's even that. It's partly is that, and partly is you have white people. Look, just in terms of black people, just let me stick for a moment, and Hispanic people, you have this many years of wind at our sails. Like, why is our net worth, generational wealth, so much more on average? Because look, Caroline and I, we have these sails from the moment we're born. I mean, maybe we don't benefit. You're from Erie, I'm from Toledo. These aren't exactly two like really vibrant areas of life. But still, on average, if we add up all white Americans, we're just like already being sort of moved forward by 300 plus years of history. It's like, damn. And everything, every law that was passed, every redlining law, every negative thing that held people back benefited me, benefited my relatives. So when there was redlining in, someone who looks like Kayleen or Leonardo from the Dominican Republic can't get a loan in a neighborhood that's going to be an up-and-coming neighborhood. If I buy this house here, in 30 years that house is going to be double the value. It's like, no, Leonardo and Kay, what's going to happen is you're going to buy a house over here, and in 30 years, the house is going to have the same value. It's like, well, I bought it in this other neighborhood, my ancestors, so they made money. They did well. And you got 300 years of that stuff going on. So here, go to so go ahead. Go back, actually. Can you... Go ahead. Say what questions, thoughts, Leonardo. What thoughts do you have on this? What that exercise right there on the stairs?
where does it lead you? What's it lead you to think?
Like, I'm aware there's like differences when it comes to like social status, I guess. And yeah, I think it's obviously tougher when you start at a lower position, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, anything? What's it lead you to think? What's it lead you to see?
I mean, it's also kind of like, I feel once we were into like the green part after segregation, and like it was kind of more like, oh yeah, we're all like equal, we're all the same. They kind of like, it's easier to have the mentality of like, oh well, like if I did it, anyone can do it. But like they don't really think of like the factors that they have working against them. They just see all the opportunities that they can have and that they can use to like gain more wealth or like, you know, move up on the ladder.
Okay. Caroline, anything that struck you in that?
I can go back to like when we talked about in the beginning, like choice versus structure,
Uh-huh.
and how we can say that everybody has the illusion of choice of becoming
Yep.
more successful,
Yep.
but in reality, it's systems created by the government or other people that have held certain groups back over the other ones.
That maybe you don't see. So like Austin back here, he's gonna look down there and he's gonna see Caleb, and he says, dude, you have no choice but to see Caleb as a guy who like, well, I don't know how to explain why Caleb's down there, because like I don't know, I'm gonna have to come up with something, because it's not me. It's not. I'm just doing my thing because you're here too, right? You didn't like. I didn't give you. You're upper class. I didn't give you the answers to the quiz, right? You don't have answers to the quiz. I'm not writing your packbacks for you, right? So he's studying just like everybody else is studying. He's doing what he has to do, and he's spinning his wheels, and he's going here. It's okay. So he has no other way to understand what's going on down there with Caleb than to just say that, well, I don't know, something must be happening. So here, look. Go to the next slide. So here's household wealth, okay? Now this is, I'm just going to focus on black families and white families, okay? Or households. And so here's white people it's 1983 is the blue, and 2013. This is all the wealth. This is like all your retirement accounts, your home, the land, stocks, cars, minus your debt, okay? Got it? So here's on average, this is household wealth for white people here, okay? Now, take a look at this. Look at the difference here. Look at how it went up tremendously, right? So you think, okay, at some point in time, black people, because, you know, we have all these affirmative action programs, and we have all these things that are happening, black people are going to catch up, right? They're going to catch up. Because this is how it works. So look at all these black people in the room. You all eventually, you're going to work hard and you're going to do your thing and you're going to catch up. But here, go to the next slide. This is, if nothing happens for the next 30 years, this is what it's going to look like. White people, this is where, go back one. So this is this number right here, 650,000, let's say. Go forward. Right? So it's about 650,000. Here's where it's going to be for white people. Here's black people. On average. You get it, right? This is compound interest. This is this is compound interest. The wealth is in the hands of certain racial groups, and we can't bust out of that. And we refuse, no matter what we do, unless we go to the white people and we say, listen, man, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take money away, but not like, who are we going to take it away from? Caleb? Like, we can't take it away from him. Only Austin. Well, wait, hang on. Only Austin? Like, what about Caroline? What about Sam? Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this rectify it? We got centuries of giving people a head start. And like, I don't know what to do. But it's not equal. And then one final thing. You remember when Will was here? SAT scores and family income? Who has the lowest SAT scores on average in the United States? Leonardo, who do you think has the lowest SAT scores? What racial group?
Lower income families.
So on average, who is that?
So like lower class people.
Okay, but what racial group?
Like black people, I guess.
So first off, Native Americans have the lowest. And then black people. And then Hispanic people. And then white people. And then Asian people. And Asians, just because, it's just study is a thing. Is that, you know what I mean? Dude, is that surprising to anybody? Is that racist? It's not racist. It's not racist at all, man. It just is. Oh, against the Asians, it is, yeah. It is what it is. Why would that be surprising to anybody? It's like, of course. On average. We're talking on average. And by the way, wait, hang on a sec, hang on. Why do you think black people are always talking about history? Do you want to start with that? Black people are always talking about history, man. We got to look at history. Look at history. And white people are like, motherfucker, stop talking about history. Talk about today. And white people are like, no, man, black people, we got to talk about history. You're not going to understand this if we don't talk about history. So, Caroline, why are they always talking about history?
I mean, I think it shows how they were, how some people have been affected for hundreds of years and how it can still feel repercussions today. So if we understand the wrongdoings back then, we can try to move on and make better systems for other people.
Yeah. Anybody? Okay. Do you have anything to add to that? As someone who's half black or fully black, I don't know. Is your Cuban side black or white or mestizo?
Like mixed.
Mixed? Okay.
Yeah.
So why would you always talk about history?
I mean, also to agree with what Caroline said, it's important to know what happened to people in the past and things that held them back. It can still affect them and
No, hang on. Not can still affect them.
Still does affect them. And
Affects-
it's also important to I feel to know history, because if you don't know history, you're bound to repeat it and have it happen again or let it keep on happening.
Yeah. Leonardo, how about you? What's the importance of history here?
Well, I think it's pretty clear we have to be conscious of what has happened so we don't repeat the same mistakes.
Yeah, but it's not, hang on. Okay. Is it repeat or is it to know? Because, right, it's also to know. Wait, hang on. Here, listen up. It's it would be like trying to study try to be a student in this class if I spoke a different language than you. You wouldn't get anything. It's you can't understand what's going on in terms of race inequality today if you don't look at this history. We haven't even touched Native Americans. And for anybody to say, listen, for example, black people should get away from this history thing and should stop complaining and should stop whatever. It's not complaining. They're telling us to say, if you don't look at what happened, you cannot understand what is happening today. You will never understand ever. It's not possible. It's just this thing. It's basic. It's if you don't speak English, You will never understand what's happening in 100 Thomas in Soc 119. It's impossible. You will never understand. It's not an excuse. It's just intellectual understanding. My God. All right, so listen. Here, I want to say the following thing. Hey, thanks, y'all, right?